She's #1 at being dumb, the new face of the DNC. Gather round, cause that's our Jazzy.
Jasmine Crockett's got another hot take. No blacks and whites on a wedding cake. The Democrats' new chosen one, Jasmine Crockett, is in the news again for an old clip where she attacked Florida Rep. Byron Donalds for marrying a white woman.
Nobody was ready for what happened next. Greg Gutfeld walked onto that stage, took one look at Jasmine Crockett's carefully rehearsed routine, and dismantled it so completely, so efficiently, that the room did not know whether to gasp or laugh. It chose both. This was not a debate. This was not an exchange. This was a live, unscripted demolition, and Crockett never spotted it coming until the dust was already settling around her. Social media detonated within minutes. Clips ricocheted across every platform simultaneously, and the political world, which thought it had seen everything, it had seen nothing quite like this.
Or literally, it's because you married a white woman and so you think that that whitewashed you.
That's not very woke, is it? Of course, Crockett isn't the only Democrat who's opposed to interracial marriage, or else more Democrats would have voted for this one. Racist!
Greg Gutfeld does not arrive anywhere looking for a fair fight. Pleasantries are not part of his vocabulary. Soft landings are not part of his toolkit. He operates with a specific, almost surgical combination of timing, sarcasm, and zero tolerance for performance dressed up as substance. So when Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett swept into the room, trailing her signature dramatic energy and hunger for the spotlight, the collision was never a question of if, only when. The moment she attempted to convert the exchange into her personal highlight reel, she made the critical mistake of forgetting one thing. Gutfeld does not do soft punches. He came carrying facts, precision, and the kind of quiet confidence that does not need to announce itself.
Plantation.
Tyrus, I go to you for no particular reason. Is she making any point there?
Like this makes me wish my mom made different father choices. Because we all get sucked into this. Like, this is. If you're going to talk about black history, at least know it. This is. At least know it. Okay?
Subscribe right now, because what comes next is not something you want to walk into halfway through. Rather than stepping into any kind of fair intellectual exchange, Crockett walked directly into a situation she was spectacularly unprepared for. Overconfident, under-equipped, and operating on the assumption that her usual toolkit would be enough. It was not. Crockett has never built her reputation on depth or policy detail. Her brand runs on something else entirely. Volume, theatrical outrage, perfectly timed buzzwords, and a gift for turning political moments into shareable content. To her devoted audience, that registers as passion and fire. To everyone watching with clear eyes, it is noise wearing a very expensive outfit and calling itself leadership.
But it goes back to, that was 45 seconds of some of the, like, Kamala, you good right now. That was some of the dumbest I ever heard in my life. Here's the thing. This goes back to what we talked about earlier. They never have a solution. Just listen to your dumbass talk. You want to talk about agriculture? Why don't you fix the lottery? Why don't you make it easier for people who want to come into this country to work in agriculture and equitation and factories? Get rid of the lottery. Open it up. Talk to the president. Like, hey, we got a plan. We want to make it easier for people who can vet and come in and work in this country. Come up with an idea. Besides, any of y'all want to pick cotton? We're like, we're in suits in the middle of the Midwest. Why would we pick cotton? It's like the extreme stupidness of what she speaks. I'm so angry right now. And
Gutfeld has no patience for noise, and considerably less interest in pretending otherwise. He arrives to these moments already 3 steps ahead, that familiar expression on his face communicating everything before a single word leaves his mouth. When Crockett launched into her latest production, a carefully blended mixture of deflection, charged language, and recycled outrage, he had no intention of engaging with the performance on its own terms. His intention was to dismantle it entirely, and that is precisely what he did, with a calm, almost casual precision that made it look effortless. He said plainly what most people in that room were privately thinking but professionally obligated to leave unsaid. Jasmine Crockett is not a political force. She is a headline delivery system. and a very well-practiced one at that.
She's so rotten, she wants migrants picking cotton. We present to you Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who made this shocking argument why America needs immigrants. Roll it, Alfred.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands.
When the wheels fall off.
You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
She was not making arguments. She was reciting a script, complete with dramatic pauses, calculated emotional beats, and lines clearly engineered for maximum clippability rather than actual meaning. She was not defending a position. She was fishing for a standing ovation using bait she had thrown out dozens of times before. In Gutfeld's world, that is not politics. That is dinner theater, and not particularly good dinner theater at that. His response did not need volume. It never does. It was measured, deliberate, and laced with the kind of controlled contempt that lands far harder than any raised voice could. He held the mirror up, and what reflected back was not flattering. Hollow messaging, visible contradictions, an entire persona constructed on performance rather than substance, wobbling badly the moment anyone applied the slightest pressure. Crockett had spent years building her identity around committee room spectacle, viral outbursts, manufactured confrontations, moments engineered specifically for social media distribution. Gutfeld walked through every single one of them and left nothing standing.
Kilmeade, she's getting to be the face of that party.
I know, thanks to your show.
Yeah.
I don't know what's more popular, this or The View on Gutfeld. But a couple of things. Did you see, at first I thought she was doing it for comedic purposes, but you watch back, nobody had a response. They didn't know what the hell she was talking about. And she's like, oh, really? Farming? Yes, it's called eating, farming. America's got the best farmers in the world. There's glory in doing it. People do it, and the people don't do it by hand anymore. This isn't 1820. So I was just stunned by what she's saying. But the weird thing is, she probably left that room thinking she knocked it out of the park. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that anyone can stop her from being the face of the party, except Bernie Sanders, who's 111 years old, talking about oligarchs.
He cut directly through the theatrics and found the contradictions nesting comfortably underneath. The unity messaging sitting right next to the reflexive accusations. The calls for open conversation paired with zero tolerance for any perspective that deviated from her own. Gutfeld moved through all of it with the calm efficiency of someone who prepared for exactly this and found it even easier than anticipated. Then came the moment that truly changed the temperature of the room. He stopped engaging with the performance altogether and went straight for the record, the actual documented congressional record, and what he found there was striking in its emptiness. All that noise, all that fire, all those viral moments and breathless media coverage, and the tangible legislative output sitting behind it was nearly invisible. No significant wins, no meaningful progress for the constituents she so passionately claims to represent. Just an impressive archive of memorable moments that served her brand far more than they served anyone else. Gutfeld laid that out plainly. She is not governing, she is performing, and performing exclusively for the benefit of the performer.
Do you have an opinion on this? Or should I move on to somebody?
No, I just... It has to come from me.
Yes.
Okay. None of y'all are qualified. Not just for one thing, I'm mad at Charmaine the guy because he should have kicked her out. See, the problem is that we are allowing our own culture to be openly racist and get away with it. Now, if a white person is offended by that, and they should be, they say something, it's like, it's not the same thing. But if you say that, and another brother looks at you and goes, man, you wrong for that. And I don't want you on my show. Get the hell out, because I'm telling you right now, if I was not on the show, which happens sometimes, and someone was sitting in his chair and he was complaining about black men this and black that, and they shouldn't be here, and you know what happens when a white woman marries a black guy, you would not have seen that guy in the next segment. He would have kicked his ass off, because you're not gonna talk about somebody that I care about like that, or somebody another person like that. That's the problem.
Her defenders mobilized immediately, flooding the conversation with accusations of bias, bad faith, and political targeting. Every critique, they insisted, was rooted in something other than the critique itself. But Gutfeld had no interest in that redirection. He addressed it directly and moved on. Accountability is not cruelty, and the inability to absorb criticism without reframing it as persecution is itself revealing information. The public reaction did not require any spin. Social media made its feelings known instantly and loudly. Memes spread, clips looped. The exchange took on a life entirely its own, replayed, dissected, and commented on by people who had never previously tracked either figure closely. And the most important detail buried inside all of it, Crockett handed Gutfeld every tool he used. No ambush, no manufactured controversy. She arrived seeking validation and ran directly into someone whose entire professional identity is built on refusing to provide it.
Yeah, all right, stop it! Although I must say you have great taste. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Oh, man. Okay.
Watching her attempt to recover in real time was something between uncomfortable and genuinely riveting, like observing someone try to extinguish an inferno using something that has absolutely no chance of working. Even observers who arrived sympathetic to her began quietly stepping back, recognizing that attaching themselves to this particular moment carried more risk than reward. But Gutfeld was not finished with the individual argument. He was making a broader point, using Crockett as the most visible current example of a political style that has become disturbingly common. The lawmaker who treats legislative office as a content platform, who measures success in trending topics rather than tangible outcomes, who mistakes being loud for being effective. He made that argument with humor sharp enough that it could not be dismissed, and delivered it with the grin of someone who had already seen exactly how this ended before the whole thing began. The final point he landed was the one that lingered longest. Real leadership does not live in the highlight reel. It lives in the work nobody films, the progress nobody tweets about, and the results that actually change something for actual people.
Jesse, you know, they called Musk a Nazi, and next thing you know, you got swastikas on cars. They called Trump Hitler and a Nazi and a fascist, and he got shot. So I don't really ever see that happening on the Republican side when we make fun of Democrats. It's also about the supporters. It's not just the leaders. It seems like Democrats are easily programmed to do bad things.
Yes, they are. They're very easily programmed, Greg.
I made you say that.
This was never just a takedown. It was a demonstration, a live case study in what happens when the gap between image and substance finally becomes impossible to paper over. Gutfeld's message to every politician currently optimizing their outrage for algorithmic performance was delivered without a single word addressed to them directly. But every single one of them received it anyway. He was not impressed by the volume. He was not moved by the passion. He was not remotely interested in the performance. The analogy writes itself. It was the intellectual equivalent of someone arriving to a serious conversation armed exclusively with rehearsed talking points, and the unshakable belief that enthusiasm is a substitute for preparation. The crowd, which had been primed to respond to Crockett's usual energy, did not deliver. What followed instead was something that communicated far more than applause ever could. The specific, weighted silence of people watching someone's carefully constructed moment collapse in front of them in real time.
First, they cursed, now they thirst for blood. Jasmine Crockett is upping her temper tantrums, now saying the only way Democrats can win elections is by throwing hands.
I think you punch. I think you're okay with you okay with punching. It's Ted Cruz. I mean, like, this dude has to be knocked over the head, like, hard, right?
She reached for every tool available. Buzzwords, emotional appeals, procedural interruptions, the full repertoire, and watched every single one of them fail to find any purchase against Gutfeld's absolute calm. He was not rattled. He was not even particularly engaged in the way someone is engaged when they feel challenged. He looked more than anything like a man waiting patiently for something he already knew was coming to finish arriving. His responses were so composed, so unhurried, that they functioned almost as their own kind of mockery, not through anything he said directly, but through the simple simple act of refusing to treat her escalating energy as something worth matching. The audience was not passive. They were fully present, absorbing every exchange, tracking every moment, reacting in real time to a situation that kept delivering more than they anticipated. Every point Gutfeld made landed cleanly. Every deflection Crockett attempted only made the next landing easier. What started as a political confrontation had quietly transformed into something much more revealing, a window into exactly what happens when preparation meets performance, and performance discovers it brought nothing useful to the encounter.
Now, she claims that she wasn't talking about Abbott's wheelchair at all. Yet she's mentioned Abbott's wheels before. In 2022, she posted Beto's rolling around the state. Where's Abbott rolling to? And according to the Washington Free Beacon, Crockett also liked several Facebook comments referring to Abbott as Hot Wheels back in 2020.
The cleanup operation began immediately. Supporters rushing to reframe, recontextualize, and redirect attention toward anything other than what had just actually happened. Accusations flew, think pieces arrived overnight, but none of it had the structural integrity to hold the narrative together, because the moment itself existed on video and could be watched by anyone at any time. The damage was real, it was visible, and it was not going anywhere. What made Gutfeld's impact particularly difficult to dismiss was the method. He never became angry. He never raised his voice. He never reached for a personal insult or a cheap shot. He simply applied consistent, measured, factual pressure and let the response to that pressure tell the story for him. Crockett stood at the center of it, still holding her performance together with both hands, waiting for the reaction she had spent her entire career learning to generate. It did not come, and that absence, that specific pointed room-wide silence, communicated something no amount of reframing could undo.
How long is she going to keep this thing that she wasn't talking about, the wheelchair?
Yeah. Come on, babe, you know you're full of and all that, Jasmine. I think what happened was AOC was like, you guys, I need to triangulate and be serious now because I'm going to be a senator. So someone has to be a talking attention whore. Who's it going to be? And Jasmine raised her hand and goes, excuse me, Congresswoman Cortez, I speak jive.
What it is, mama.
Every ounce of energy she invested in the performance returned absolutely nothing, confirming in the most public setting possible that volume is not the same thing as vision, and that a compelling social media presence does not automatically translate into anything resembling effective governance. This had moved well beyond any partisan divide. It was no longer about political affiliation. It was about the difference between two fundamentally incompatible approaches to public life, one built on substance and one built on spectacle, finally being forced to occupy the same space at the same time. Gutfeld's real target was never just Crockett specifically, it was the entire operating model she represents. The politician who treats legislative office as a production studio, who approaches every vote as potential content, and who has gradually confused personal brand growth with actual public service. The lesson underneath all of it is straightforward and not particularly new, but it needed to be demonstrated rather than stated. Politics is not a performance medium, it is a responsibility, and the moment someone forgets that distinction, and steps in front of someone like Greg Gutfeld still operating under that confusion, the education they receive is going to be both public and permanent.